All right, here we go. We are at Mem Dalet Amud Aleph, the bottom line. 44a. There we go. The yawns are coming out. Okay, we're going to go back to 5 lines up from the bottom. Okay, Bezrat Hashem, let's do this. Rish Lakish. Okay, we have a machloket. Let's get into the mode here. Machloket, Rabbanan, and Rav Yossi regarding how the mechanics of Hefker work. Rabbanan say the classic explanation of Hefker is the moment I say my watch, my item is Hefker, it's ownerless. It's ownerless at that moment. It's ownerless. Anyone can come and take it. It's fine. Rav Yossi's opinion is when I say this is Hefker, it's still mine until someone takes it. And if someone takes it, he didn't steal it. At that moment, that's when the ownership changed. But the moment that I say it's ownerless, it's still technically mine until someone takes it. Okay. So we brought a Braita that the first piece of the Braita looked like it's the Rabbanan speaking. Second piece of the Braita looks like it's Rav Yossi speaking. And then we said, how does this work? The Braita, if it's all one author, unless it's specified otherwise, it's all one author. So the first explanation which was Ula. Ula's explanation said, no, the entire thing is Rabbanan. That was last year, that how we figured out that the last piece, even though it's seemingly like Rav Yossi, no, he says he could fit it into the words of the Rabbanan. Rish Lakish, now we're going to see, is he's fitting in. He says, no, the entire Braita could be Rav Yossi. So the issue with that off the bat is, okay, the second piece of the Braita is understandable that it's Rav Yossi. The first piece of the Braita, that's what the question is. So what's the issue? Because the first piece of the Braita, if we remember, is a person says, my field is Hefker. So the Braita says that for 3 days, the owner who said it's Hefker, he can go back on it. Even if someone took it, he can go back on it. Now, but after 3 days, it's not his anymore. It's gone, provided if someone takes it, whatever. So it's not his anymore. That sounds very much like Rabbanan, because after 3 days is not. In Rabbanan is right away. There's no possession, but the 3 days, as we explained, is for the tricksters who. Because we'll get into that now. Because there's a law that a person has a field, he has to give maaser, he has to give 10% to the Levi. But a field of hefker, he doesn't have to give 10%. So people might do tricks and say, okay, my land's hefker, and then a second later, now it's not hefker anymore. It's mine now. And now, if he takes it back, you could say, oh, he got this land from hefker. He doesn't have to give 10%. The trick to save on that 10%. So the Chachamim were a step ahead, and he said, no, if you hefker your land and then take it back within 3 days, it's as if nothing happened, and it's your ownership the whole time. You're still obligated. The only way it could work is if you put your land up for hefker for 3 days, and then take it back. Okay, maybe you could do that, but people won't do that because for 3 days, someone else might come and take the land.
Do they have to? You have to advertise it.
It seems like it's got to be a real.
You know, you got to put it in the local newspaper.
Not to that extent, but it seems to be witnesses. But it's got to be known that it's hefker. So now like this. So the statement that after 3 days, let's say on day 4, it's not yours anymore. That's Rabbanan, meaning Rabbanan really from day 1. Day second, number 1, it's not yours anymore. But okay, we have a special clause that we wait 3 days because of the tricksters, and that means day 4, it's gone. It's not his anymore. But according to Rav Yossi, day 4, day 5, day 100, it should still be yours until someone comes and gets it. So how could we reconcile that the first part of the Braita is talking about Rav Yossi? That's the question over here. Let's read it inside and then see the answer and keep on moving on. 5 lines up from the bottom. Rish Lakish Amar. Rish Lakish says, Midas Sefer Rav Yossi. Since the latter part of the Braita is Rav Yossi, Reisha Nami Rav Yossi. Reisha is also, the beginning is also Rav Yossi. Says the Gemara, so how does it work that it's Rav Yossi? Vereisha hainu ta'ama de lo lishtakach torat hefker. He's saying like this, that The literal translation is in order not to forget the law of hefker, of basically this law that if you take a field of hefker, then you don't have to give maaser from it. So in order not to forget this law, so therefore the Reisha could fit with the Rav Yossi. The explanation is as follows. According to Rav Yossi, the land is always yours, even day 4, day 5, or day 100 until someone gets it. So why over here on day 4, it's not yours? It's not yours anymore. So here the Gemara is saying now, here's an exception to the rule, because there's a concept that a land from hefker you don't have to give maaser. That law would be forgotten if we would go with the classic explanation of Rav Yossi. Rav Yossi's classic explanation is it's mine until someone takes it. So if it's mine until someone takes it, then we don't have this getting from hefker. Why not? What do you mean? I said this is hefker. This land is hefker. Someone takes it, so he got a land from hefker. He doesn't have to give maaser on it. Why?
The first year.
First year, correct. So why would that works? That's very nice. We remember this law of no maaser on a hefker land. So the answer to that is, if it's going to remain in my property, like Rav Yossi says, until the moment someone takes it, it might look like a transaction of a gift. And a transaction of a gift, you do have to take maaser on. Even though I said it was hefker, but it's going to look like it's a gift, because according to Rav Yossi, it's still mine until the moment you take it. So how did the properties transfer? It transfers from me to you. It was not like me, even though I said hefker, but it wasn't me, nobody's, then you. According to Rav Yossi, it's me to you. Me to you, that looks like a gift. And then what? You don't have to give maaser on a gift. People get confused with this. And therefore, we'll see the run that explains it more. And therefore, the Gemara is saying that the beginning of our Braita is an exception to the rule of Rav Yossi, but it could also fit with Rav Yossi, because we want to keep people knowing this law that that you don't need to take off maaser on hefker land. So again, according to Rav Yossi, it's mine until someone else takes it, even though I say hefker. So how does that fit with the reisha of the Braita? It fits because here's an exception. We want people to remember the law that you don't have to take off 10% on a hefker land. How can we remember that law? We can remember that law if it actually leaves your possession after the 3 days. The Gemara's going to ask in a moment, then make it right away. Then why 3 days? So 3 days is for the Ramaim, as we spoke about, for the tricksters. But we want people to remember this law. Therefore, Rav Yossi will agree, there's an exception to my rule. His rule in general is, it's my land until you take it. Here's an exception, that we want people to remember this law, that you don't have to give maaser on a hefker land. And the way people could remember it is if they get hefker land that doesn't transfer directly from me to you, but it's actually nobody's, and then I get it. So in order to remember that law, Rav Yossi says, no, in this type of case, it's an exception to the rule, and after 3 days, it's totally not his anymore, like the Rabbanan. So that could fit with Rav Yossi as well, and that's the answer Rish Lakish offers.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Usually tricksters work with partners, right? So you got partner A, the land's in his name or her name, okay? And then says, I'm giving the land away. And his partner comes in during the 3 days, the first one, and says, I'm taking it. So partner A waits for the 3 days, and it's not theirs anymore. It's partner B.
Yeah, but...
And then they do it again, because these tricksters are tricksters.
I know, but what happens
How does that work then?
Because
it's in just one name. It's not in both names.
Because trickster number one is going to lose out. Meaning,
Yeah, but they're
listen.
partners. Remember,
No, this is a little piece of land. Who does it belong to? Trickster A and B?
A.
A. Okay, it's owned by A, right? Let's say
Yeah.
I'm A. It's owned by me. If I put this as hefker, and now I don't want to pay my 10% of the land, right? So it's like,
trickster B comes and says, "I take it."
We're in cahoots, right? Yours.
No,
That's a
I
big-
wouldn't do that. I'm not a
Fine.
trickster.
But that's a big risk on my end.
No,
to
but
now,
but it's we're colluding.
I know.
There's
Would you
collusion.
Would you trust in other trickster?
To now take your land. Meaning, this is $1 million land. Now I
just
say,
ask-
I want to save on my 10% of produce, $10,000.
So you know we're
produce.
partners. So you know what? You got $500,000 land, and I've got the $500,000
No,
land.
it's both of ours.
No, we've got we buy two separate pieces of land. One's in your name, one's in my name. Equal. I put mine up for hex. You put yours aside. I take yours and you take mine. So we swapped.
Hefker.
Okay. Because remember, we're in cahoots. But so how does it work? Because I
Okay,
know
so
the,
maybe
the,
not
the,
every-
the brain people
yeah.
they know these things.
How does this one work out? Okay, good question.
So what do they tell us about
About
this?
that case? I don't know. Okay, I hear. Beat the system. There's another way to beat the system. Beating the system in general that
They just don't give the 10%. Yeah, I know.
Exactly. That's it. Right? So we're talking about religion. Like you're right. So that's the thing. These people were religious. That they right. They're saying, "Forget it. I'll give you 10%." Right? Who's gonna force it? Right? They were religious. They wanted to do it, but let me see if I can get a loophole out of it. Right?
Yeah, so here's your loophole.
Yeah.
Is
Or
this-
like
this-
back in the day, they would if you bring the produce into your house, you get 10%. If you bring it through the windows, you don't get the 10%. Right? It's actually now when I was in Israel.
No wonder they have the conveyor belts going through windows.
When I was in Israel, I went to Dalton, and we got there at a beautiful time where they had tons and tons of pallets of grapes, and they were being put into a machine, and the machine was separating, like through this machine, like grapes on the with the leaves with everything. And then what comes out one side is the actual just grapes, and all the leaves,
Yep, the
all the
garbage.
stuff before even crushing it is garbage, and it's piling up. And what's this pile for? It's actually they're gonna give
That's
it to
the 10%.
cows. Yeah, that's the 10% garbage. Right? They give it to the cows to eat.
Yeah.
So we were there. The mashgiach actually gave us a tour, and he pulls out a cluster of grapes. He says, "Here, have some, eat." Right. So for a moment, I hesitated. It's like maaser, teruma, all the laws of Israel. In Canada, you could just eat it like that. And then he reminded me, he says, no, it's not chayav and maaser till you bring it into the house. Meaning you could eat off the trees. If you're in Israel, you can eat off the trees. But once it's actually, now I brought it to the house, now let me start my production of like, now let me sell it, or let me bring it to the house. This is what we're using for the house. Then you have to take off your maaser. But if you're just from so it's still in process. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. So you just
What if it's in? So what if you have a quote inventory a warehouse for inventory? So it goes from the tree to the warehouse.
Yeah, so that's
That's-
part of-
so
that's
it's the
house.
warehouse, it's
That-
the
that's
house.
So that's
What
part
he's
of
saying is
the
that
roof
soon
inside
it goes
the
into
house.
into like a structure.
Yeah, once it comes into your possession, right? It's it.
So
If it
there's
comes
no
in your
answer to
possession
my
through
question
that-
then?
I don't know. That's a good question though.
It's
Sorry,
they'll
do
get
I have
around
to
it. The
ask you
scam
for
artists
grapes and
never
the
went
wine
out.
as well,
Well, that's what I want, but I want
I
to know
think just the
how
grapes.
they
I
can
think-
get
I
around
think
or
it.
I have to
grapes.
give my say no from the wines, no?
I think after it turns into
And
wine.
trying to make good
I don't
dialogue.
think they maaser, but
So
you
that
are
he knows
reminding me.
you're paying attention.
Sorry, maybe
and
they,
thinking.
they only do it at
Might be a
that
little bit greedy
stage.
for me.
I don't think they do it at the grape stage. They do it at the wine stage.
Yeah, I have to do to on the wine.
Yeah, they do something on the wine also, but I think they do the whole thing on the wine, not on the grape stage.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that is the explanation of how we fit Rav Yossi into the first part of the Braita. Let's continue reading the Gemara. 3 lines up from the bottom. Yachi afilu miyom rishon nami lahavei hefker. Says the Gemara, well, let it be even on the first day. And we spoke this out. Amar Rabba mipnei Ramaim demafkirin v'hadrim mehon, because of the Ramaim, the tricksters that are make hefker, and they bring it back that same day. So we don't do one day; we do it 3 days. Okay. So now we're at the bottom of Al Deoraita. Okay. Okay, perfect. Says the Gemara right now. Aval Deoraita lo havi hefker. So now we're asking on Rav Yossi. So we just explained that Rav Yossi's way the hefker works is it's yours. It's still mine until you take it. We said, oh, here's an exception because of people, because this is a gzera midirabanan. People are going to forget the law of you don't have to give maaser on a hefker land. Therefore, Rav Yossi says At day 4, it's going to be fully not mine anymore. But really, that's midirabanan. It's not mine anymore. Midoraita, according to him, it's still mine. According to Rav Yossi, this is still mine until someone else takes it. That's how midoraita. That's how it would work. Midirabanan from a gzera, he lets go of it at day 4. So now the Gemara, with that understanding, the Gemara is going to ask a question. Aval deoraita lo avi hefker. According to deoraita, though, according to Rav Yossi, in this case, the first case of the braita, it's not hefker. Next page. V'dilma ati le'asuri min chiyuv ala ptur u min aptur ala chiyuv. What's going to happen is as follows. Give me a second. Okay, I wrote it out over here.
It's the portion that is taken.
Okay, so yeah, that's what's going on over here. So what's happening is like this. When according to Rav Yossi, this is my land. I say it's hefker. It's still mine though until someone takes it. Now, it's still mine until someone takes it. This is my land. It's still mine until someone takes it. So now now we said at the beginning of the Reisha, it's turned into, because people are going to forget the laws of Maaser, we make it as if it's totally not mine anymore. Midoraita, it's still his. Midoraita, it's still his. So now we make it as if it's not his anymore. Now, the thing is, if he takes back his own land, what's going to happen? In a case where, a regular case of Rav Yossi, this is Hefker, no one claims it, and then he takes back his land, he still has to give Maaser Midoraita, because it was always his land.
If it's within that 3 days.
If it's within the 3, no.
That's what you said yesterday.
Yes. But according to Rav Yossi, in Rav Yossi's general explanation, this is mine
Irrespective.
this is mine until it goes to you. If I just if I take it back, I still have to give the maaser. Now, according to Rabbanan, if 3 days pass, and then I take it back, it's maaser mid'Rabbanan, because what's happening is I'm taking back my land, but it's after 3 days, and it's at a time where really it's not mine anymore, mid'Rabbanan. But now that I took it back, there's a maaser mid'Rabbanan. But that's what one would think.
And it's not yours also the Oraita? Or just
No, that's what one would think it's maaser mid'Rabbanan. The only issue is the corner of Yossi really mid'Oraita, it's still yours. It's still yours because that's the mechanics of Hefker. So what's going to happen is, according to Rav Yossi, you're going to come up with there's going to be an issue here. The issue is going to be is that if we fit Rav Yossi into the ratio of the Braita, and we say, oh, after 3 days, it's as if it's not yours anymore, only mid'Rabbanan, and you take it back, then you're going to give Maaser, and you're going to think it's Maaser mid'Rabbanan. But really, it's Maaser deoraita, because Rav Yossi's opinion is, in general, that it's yours until it goes to the next guy. So it's Maaser deoraita. You're going to think it's Maaser deRabbanan. So what's wrong with that? Because now, let's say I have to take off 10% this land. But the truth is, when it comes time for me giving 10%, I have to give 10% from all my produce. Now, what I could do is, I could take the 10% from here to cover all those other lands. So let's say I have to give 100 kilos from here, 100 kilos from here, 100 kilos from here, totaling 1,000 kilos, 10%, 10%, 10%. I can give 1,000 kilos from this field and cover all the other fields. That works if all these 10 fields are all the same level obligation of maaser. Maaser midoraita, maaser midoraita. So it's all Torah level maaser. So I could cover that with a Torah level maaser. But if this is a rabbinic maaser, I can't cover a Torah level maaser. Meaning, if I only need to give this 10% because the rabbis require me, really according to the Torah, I don't need to. But the rabbis require me, they made a fence, they made an extra rule, I have to give it because then I can't use that 10% to cover my Torah obligation 10%. So it's going to come out over here, it's going to be a little bit of an opposite case, where
Isn't 10% 10%?
it is, but where's that obligation coming from? If the obligation is coming from the Torah, then let's say I take everything from this field, the whole 1,000 kilos.
Is it the same widgets?
What does that mean?
They
The
have to
same
be the
fruits?
same.
The same apples? Is it apples there, apples here, apples, apples?
Let's leave that the same. Let's leave that the same right now. Yes, and that's not going to make a difference in our story, but let's leave that the same.
Okay, I just,
So it's all apples. So now I owe 1,000 kilos total, 100, 100, 100, 100. I said, you know what, I'm going to take 1,000 kilos from this field to cover all my other fields. That is allowed, provided all the other fields are Torah obligated 10%. But if this one is a rabbinic obligation, meaning according to the Torah, I'm not obligated to give from this field for whatever reason. The rabbi said, you know what, it might be a confusion, you have to give. So if I only have to give this 10% rabbinically, I can't use this to cover the other ones. Even though, yeah, with 10% is different. With 10% is 10%. It needs to be obligatory 10% to cover for the other ones. It needs obligatory 1,000 kilo to cover for my other ones. Not non-obligatory. Then you're just making a donation of fruits to the levy, but not fulfilling the mitzvah of maaser. What could come out with the issue with Rav Yossi is that it's like a little bit opposite, where according to the Torah, it's Rav Yossi's field till it gets to the next guy's field. That means when he takes it back, it's the midoraita he's obligated to. But in this case, in the beginning of the Braita, where he's losing full rights to it after 3 days, for people not to forget the law that you don't have to give maaser after on a hefker field, and then you take it back. The Chachamim made you give maaser on that field. So, but it's really according to Rav Yossi, it's not midarabanan, it's a deoraita maaser, because really according to the laws of Rav Yossi, it's still yours till someone else takes it. You might though make a mistake and think that it's a rabbanan, and therefore you're gonna think, oh, this is a rabbanan thing, so let me cover rabbanan to rabbanan. It's really the oraita thing, and the oraita can't cover the rabbanan, and the rabbanan can't cover the oraita. So you're gonna mix up. If you're gonna now use this to cover others, you're gonna basically mix up. And the Gemara's answer to that is, so let's read the question. You're gonna take maaser from chiyuv, from things that you're obligated to, on things that you're not obligated to, and things that you're not obligated to, on things that you are obligated to. Answers the Gemara, ki ma'asarta aser mine ube. We're going to tell him in this type of scenario where you're just picking up that land of hefker after 3 days in order not to get people to forget that law. If that's that field, don't use that field to cover other fields. Take off 10% from that field, and that's it. So it doesn't matter. That statement that you made, Claude, before that 10% is 10%. You're right in that field itself. Meaning, I take off 10% from this field. It doesn't matter if it's the right, the rabbanan. Now, if I want to use this product to cover other fields,
even though they're identical,
even though they're all apples,
identical in every
right,
nature whatsoever.
But it does make a difference if these other fields are Torah obligation. I can't use my rabbinic obligation to cover
even though they're identical.
Even though they're identical. It's the...
We discussed this.
Right.
We discussed this somewhere else
Maybe.
like about a month or two ago.
Could be. But, so now what we're saying, though, is the answer to the Gemara is in this type
and you
of
gave
case...
the same argument.
Okay. In this type
So
of
you're
case... In this type of case, we say, take off your 10% from here, don't use it to cover other things, and then it doesn't matter if it's a rabbanah, the oraita, you took off the 10% from there, and you're good. Okay. Next. Metive. The Gemara asks a question. Metive. Third line down. Hamafkirat Carmel. A guy makes his vineyard hefker. Ula shachar, in the morning. Amadu Batzro. He got up and he started picking the grapes. He just made it hefker the night before. More than that, let me go pick grapes. Right? So, is he obligated in giving maaser, whatever? Let's see. Says the Gemara, chayav beperet ubeolelot ubeshicha ubepeah upatur min maaser. Here's the law. He's obligated in a few things, which will say what those things are, and he's not obligated in maaser. So let's see. So he's obligated in what? Peret. Peret is if you're picking grapes and you see a cluster of just 2 grapes. Somehow it's just a very small, tiny cluster, just 2 grapes there. You can't pick that for yourself. You got to leave it for the poor. Olelot are baby grapes. If they're not developed grapes yet, you got to leave those for the poor as well. Shicha is forgotten grapes, meaning you took off grapes, but you forgot them in the field afterwards. Oh, you forgot them? Leave them for the poor. But pay on a corner, you got to leave a corner of your field for the poor. So even though this is now your vineyard that you made hefker, and the next morning you want to go and pick grapes from the hefker field, you still are obligated in those. But you're patur from maaser. You're patur. You do not have to give 10%. So let's see where the question lies. Bishlama le'ula. This statement is good according to Ula, who said everything's midirabanan. Derabanan ktanila. It's midirabanan. And according to the Rabbanan, the moment you say it's hefker, it's hefker. And therefore, it's hefker. The next morning you go and pick your stuff. It's hefker. No one else came to take your vineyard. It's hefker. So maaser, you don't have to give maaser on hefker land. Udeoraita ktanila. And we're talking about the laws that mideoraita, that you don't have to give maaser. You don't have to give maaser. Midoraita. You might have to, but midoraita you don't have to. So this works according to Rabbanan. The question is, Rish Lakish, amay patur min maaser. According to Rish Lakish, who explains like Rav Yossi, how can we plug Rav Yossi into this statement, and how do you make it work? So so that's the question. How can you fit Rav Yossi into the statement? How could it be patur min maaser? So again, according to Rav Yossi, it's still his until someone else takes it. It seems like over here no one took it, and the next day he goes and he takes off all this stuff. How could it be patur min maaser? It's yours. You just took it from your field. It should be chayav in maaser. That's the question. It should be chayav in maaser. So
after the 3 days.
Maybe if the vineyard's different. But okay, even with the 3-day thing, it's still patur min maaser. According to Rav Yossi, why is it going to be? According to Rav Yossi, it should be obligated in maaser because it's still yours. It's still yours. So the Gemara gives a easy answer for Rav Yossi to get out of this question. Amar Lach tells him, Ki Amri Ana le Rav Yossi Harabanani. He tells him back, did I say that like every Braita out there is like Rav Yossi? This one's a Braita in Rabbanan's favor. Fine. But there's other Braitot in Rav Yossi's favor, and he rules like Rav Yossi, but this Braita is a one in Rabbanan's favor. So he says, I agree. Rav Yossi does not fit into this Braita. It's a one that goes with the Rabbanan, and therefore it's easy to understand that you don't have to give maaser, because when the night before when you said I don't want, this is hefker, it's actually hefker, fully hefker. That's it. You go the next morning, you collect grapes from there, then you don't have to give maaser. Whereas according to Rav Yossi, if no one else got it, the next morning it's still yours. You should be chayav in maaser. So answers Rish Lakish, not a question. Okay, fine. That bright is according to Rabbanan, not according to me, not according to Rav Yossi. It's fine. 1-0 Rabbanan. Rabbanan got a proof on their side with this Braita, but that's a Rabbanan Braita, not like Rav Yossi. Okay, that's gonna be it for today. No, we're gonna keep that for next time. We got a full daf, even though it's a very small one. We'll keep that for next Monday night, Be'ezrat Hashem. Small one, but a massive run. So
Oh, that's the brand.
Yeah. Let me see quickly if there's anything else over here. Okay. I know it was a little bit back and forth, but I think we got some clarity. Chazaku Baruch, and we will start at the top of Memhei next week.
I just